and record this. All right. Thank you, Brad. Appreciate that. So you guys can all unmute yourselves if you want. But I have everybody muted right now just for the ease of kind of managing things. So the first thing I'd like to do is ask you guys, how familiar is everyone with the CTEF mission statement? Does anybody know just sort of the central mission of CTEF? You can unmute yourself to answer. What do you got, Chris?
I don't.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. Anybody? Does anybody else know? You can raise your hand too if you want. Yeah. So I think you can raise your hand if you agree with this statement. Then the mission statement of CTEF is unclear. All right, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we'll call that the majority, or a plurality at the very least. So just so that you guys know, I'm going to read you the CTEF mission statement, just so that we're all on the same page. CTEF will expand the knowledge of professional ceramic tile installation through training, education, and certification. CTEF will promote the applicable industry standards to new and experienced tile installers, architects, designers, builders, and tile industry-related people. The overall goal of CTEF's activities is to raise the quality of ceramic tile installation. So now that you guys have heard that, if you can raise your hand if you agree that that statement shows value of the CTI program. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So okay, all right, very good. So one of the challenges that we've been running across is when people say, "Why should I get certified?" Invariably, it's very difficult to express it quickly and easily. We don't have an elevator pitch. And unfortunately, on the website, there's several different conflicting messages. So we want to kind of boil it down to something simple that we can then adapt out instead of trying to send different messages and trying to make them harmonized. We want to start with a harmonized message and spread out from there. So I am going to run through a couple of taglines that I would like you guys to comment on. You can, like I said, you can unmute yourself if you want. You can, I don't know if you see the raise hand function on your Zoom. That'll probably be the easiest way for me to see if you guys agree with these in particular. So I'm going to go one at a time and ask you if you like it or if it resonates with you to click the raise hand button on Zoom.
I don't see the thing.
Yeah, where's the raise hand button?
That is a good question. Let me see.
It's under more.
You have to open your participants menu first.
Yeah, it's.
You go to more. It's like the fourth one down.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, I got you.
Everybody find it?
Did you find it, Wayne?
That's the problem. I'm hosting, and so I don't have the same menu as you guys.
If you're on your cell phone, click the 3 dots on the bottom right where it says more.
So first, maybe touch your picture. That's what I had to do.
Oh,
Touch
yeah, that's
your
good too.
picture, and then options come up at
Alright.
the bottom, and then press more.
I see Kevin raising his hand. Or if it's easier, I guess we can just do the visual. I can see pretty much everybody. Scott, thank you very much for joining us. You're muted, Scott, so hang on, give me a second. I got you. All right, go ahead. Hey, Scott, would you mind introducing yourself? I mean, I'm sure everybody knows you, but.
Scott Carruthers, CTEF.
Very cool. So we're about to run down some of the taglines that Scott, Jim Olson, Mark Heinlein, and myself talked about in a meeting earlier this week. And so if you can raise your hand digitally or physically. We'll figure it out. If you raise your hand physically, though, I'm going to ask you to hold it up so I can count. So the first tagline is transform the trade, take the test. One, two, three. Brad's kind of halfway there. Chris is halfway. Okay, so that's a maybe. A meh. We'll call that a 5 out of 10. All right.
How many do you have here, Joseph?
We've got 8.
8. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So the next one is raise the bar, take the test.
That's pretty good.
All right. We've got some mids, some thumbs down, mid. Okay. So the next one is take the lead, take the test. You're going to see take the test as sort of the tag to a lot of these because we want it to be a call to action. So take the lead, take the test.
I like that
Brad
best so
likes
far.
that. Chris?
Yeah, I like it best so far.
That's a mid from Matt.
Flipped around.
Kind of like to hear them all before I made a decision. I hate to vote on something and hear something better at the end.
Oh no, that's fine. If it's right now, it's just kind of like a rough thing. Like just if it kind of resonates with you, you can raise your hand, and then we can kind of go back. So I'm gonna start numbering these actually. So give me a second. Let's say 5 on that one, and we said raise the bar probably about 5. Take the lead. I think take the lead was the first one Jim, were you giving a thumbs down on take the lead or on raise the bar? I can't remember.
I like take the lead. I don't care for raise the bar.
Gotcha. Okay. I just
And Joseph, don't forget, since you're recording this, you can go back and kind of check and see what everybody did.
That's a good point. Thank you very much. All right. So
The take the lead one, except you flip it around because you take the test to take the lead. So you take one before the other.
okay. Typically, so the reason that we have them structured this way is because we want kind of a mission followed by a call to action. So if it's flipped around, the mission of CTEF isn't necessarily taking the test. That's the action we want people to take. So that's the reasoning behind the structure of it. But I'll take that into account. I'm going to type that in actually. Maybe flip. All right. The next one is become a CTI, take the test, which is the hashtag. Yep. Thumbs down, thumbs down. Yeah, so I'm going to give that one a 2 out of 10. Next one, elevate your craft, take the test.
Your crap.
All right, 1, mid, thumbs down, mid.
Brad is setting the bar.
He's the quickest to respond. All right, so I'm going to give that one like a 3 because we've got a few thumbs downs and everybody's kind of meh on that one. Next one is put yourself to the test. All right, we got some thumbs up,
Might be the nicest one so far.
All right, so I'm gonna give that one a 6 out of 10. Next one is prove yourself, take the test.
Not bad either.
All right, a lot of this. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that the installers are responding to the test specific or the individual challenge ones. How about this one? I am a CTI. You should be too. Mid, thumbs down.
Wow, I
thumbs
thought that
down.
would be a better one.
All right, we're going to give that one a 3 out of 10. Last one is kind of a similar vein. Do what I did, take the test. Do what I did, take the test. Yeah, I'm going to give that one a 1 from the response that we've got. So, all right, very good. So the top performers are transform the trade, take the test, take the lead, take the test, put yourself to the test, and prove yourself. Now, the next question on this is, of these, which would we most be able to adapt, not just to installers, but also to industry partners, manufacturers, distributors, and the like, and which will help us to gain sponsorships and funding for CTEF? All right, let's see. Alia, what you got?
It seemed like the installers liked the personalized ones, but just to give one opinion, and it's only worth one opinion, I don't really think that that's because we're installers. I think that one of the biggest obstacles that the test in general is facing is that the perception of it is that it's arbitrary.
Okay.
Obviously, that's not an opinion shared here, but one of the things that we're facing on the public forums is that, so something that's more focused on personal improvement, I think, steps away from that confrontation of, if you're going to be at the front of this trade, you have to be this right now. We all agree with that, but I think that's one of the perceptions that is most pushed back against on the public forums.
I will say I have seen a lot of people that are kind of shying away from it because there are some CTIs out there who act like being certified makes you a better installer than those who aren't, which we all know isn't the case, right? So I like that point personally. Matt, I think you also had something to say.
Can you read number 3, your third one again?
The third one was put yourself to the test.
I got the third one as take the lead.
I thought it was take the lead as well.
I'm sorry. So take the lead. I'm sorry. Overall, the third one. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Take the lead. Take the test.
And to me, that's what in my market, that's kind of what it says to me. Like we're stepping up. We're the ones that are kind of leading the way in the industry. So that's the one that speaks to me the most.
Okay.
And Oliver's in my market, and I'm getting a thumbs up from Oliver too. So that's the one that resonates the most with me personally, and I want to be known as the leader in my market.
Okay. Jim, I think you also had something to say about that.
Yeah, so I like, take the lead is to me the head and shoulders above the rest of them. I like, it's the way I look at it is you either have the skills or you don't, right? So if you take the test and become a CTI, there's nothing that is there's nothing different about you other than you have a certificate and you have a number, So this whole thing of like transform, raise the bar. I mean, all you do is like you just have the certificate now. There's nothing that has been transformed. So anyway, I like take the lead. I just think that's the best. It kind of puts a little bit of responsibility on the installers and that sort of thing. So
okay, thank you for that. So I'm just gonna raise a quick point here that this tagline isn't about the test per se. It is about CTEF as a whole. We need a message that is the core that we can then adapt to installers and then the industry partners, because honestly, we need funding. We need people to sponsor, we need distributors, we need more manufacturers, tool manufacturers, etc. But if we don't have a unified message, which is unfortunately over the years as CTEF has grown, we've added new initiatives and new pages, and the messaging has gotten a little bit spread. And that's why we're talking about that. So again, I want to ask, how do these test specific take the lead or put yourself to the test? How can we adapt those to industry partners as well? Or how do you guys see us?
Guys, in my opinion, and I haven't talked to many other CTIs in my area. I'm in the Midwest.
Okay.
The number one thing that I would say is to stop saying that these are the industry minimum standards.
Okay.
That would be my number one thing. I love your taglines. I love everything that that you've put forth so far. However, stop saying this is the industry minimum. Stop lowering it to be down here when there's guys that have been installing for 20, 30 years, like myself, like most of us here, quit using the term minimum.
Okay.
That's the number one thing that I would say, and I can honestly say here in the Midwest we have some badass tile guys,
Mm-hmm.
and the reason that they're not getting certified, getting their numbers, is because they look at it and say it's the industry minimum. Why? We're way above the minimum. Why on earth should we do this? And to be honest with you guys, I've been doing this for 22 years and just got certified, or just got my number maybe a month ago. And that's the reason that I didn't before, was it's the industry minimum. And that's the way that it's worded in all of the CTEF publications as far as certified tile installers go. And please correct me if I said something that's wrong, but that's the way that I see it. Let's not make it as an industry minimum or a tile minimum. Let's make it as something that needs to be a stepping stone, something that needs to be everyone needs to be proud of, which we all are. I mean, I'm extremely proud of what I did, because I took it, and it's hard as hell.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing to scoff about. Don't get me wrong. I didn't take it as seriously as I should have. I still passed. However, the wording needs to be changed, in my opinion.
So I think that you'll find a lot of individuals are highlighting that industry standards are considered a minimum, but I don't think that you'll actually find language in CTEF literature that describes it as minimum. I think we always refer to them as industry standards, but that's a valid point. So thank you very much.
Maybe I misspoke, and again,
no. I've seen a lot of guys say that. So
if I misspoke, please correct me. But that's the general consensus from the industry in my area. Let me say that. So let's do something to fix that. That would be the number one thing that I would focus on.
Okay.
Let's get that completely gone and out of the way, to where we want everyone to get certified, because they need to. I mean, it's truly no joke. We need to do all this.
Agreed. Scott, what did you have to say?
Josh, I don't think you and I have ever met, but congratulations and thank you for taking your time to do so. Tell me where you're getting that, because that's not an industry thing that we've ever promoted. Can you tell me a little bit more about what the Midwest, where that mindset's coming from?
That's actually like the biggest stigma, I think, across online presently, is that it's a minimum standard that people present, and it may not be something you guys have written down, but I agree with him that it's been widely broadcasted socially. So whether or not it's been presented by you guys, it's been presented by other people, and the people that don't go far enough to actually look into it aren't proven otherwise.
And whoever is speaking, I can't see you on my screen, but you are exactly correct. You said exactly what I wanted to say verbatim. And Scott, to be honest with you, I talked to you about 3.5 weeks ago. We've never met face to face. You're
That's
correct.
true.
But
that's true.
We have spoken over the phone a couple times. And that is exactly where I got my information from, and exactly what I was going to say, or what I meant when I said what I said earlier.
Okay, so I'm gonna write that down as highlighting industry standards as standards. Matt, what you got?
I think that when I hear that defense, or guys trying to use that as a defense, it a lot of time feels like that's coming into play when we talk about it being cement board being used in the test, 4 1/4 being used in the test, 12 by 12 being used in the test. And it's like, well, it's minimum standards. That it feels like that's what guys are saying to defend the test, is where I often hear that being used.
Okay. So So let me ask, as far as how we present industry standards, we can all agree that while industry standards are indeed minimum, if we say that if you agree with this, raise your hand. If we say minimum standard, we feel like it reduces the legitimacy of the certification. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And Jim does not agree. Okay. So working on how we present the idea of industry standards is an issue that we also need to work on that. Okay.
Hey, Joseph, can I make a quick point?
Please do, Brad.
So I do see your point, Josh, and I agree to a certain extent, but I do think so. I'm looking at this at like as like a labor as a whole, right? This is just labor, and from the standpoint that CTI doesn't need to be the end. And I think you did allude to it, Josh, that it's a stepping stone. And so, you know, really when we see what the CTI test does address, I mean, it is kind of basic standards. It's not taking it to, you know, super high other skilled things that we do in our trade, like what you see in the Act. And I don't know exactly where the Act stands now, but in my mind, it was a really good system of having, okay, so now we've gotten to this point, and especially from a manager of people, you know, it gives an opportunity for you to say, okay, now you're at this point, but hey, guess what? We're not stopping. This is kind of the bottom here. We're going to take these next steps. And I think whether you're working for a company that has a structure or you're working for yourself, I don't think that matters, because I think the CTEF, the Ceramic Tile Education Foundation, is about pushing beyond the limits of what you know now and continuing to go forward with that. And so I like the idea to a certain extent of the CTI having some limitations. You know, this is not the end. We're going to continue to push forward because at least in my grand scheme of what I would like to do with my company, that's how I would like for it to be set up. You know, you push yourself to get to that CTI test, that establishes you on this level. You push yourself to go forward to bonded waterproofing membranes, traditional shower pan grouting techniques. All of these other things are different ways for me to let you be able to move up the ladder within a career path. And so maybe that's selfish of me to utilize the CTEF for that, but I do think that transfers over to anybody that's in the trade. There's a progression that moves along. So I don't know how you balance that out of giving the CTI test the legitimacy that it deserves, but also not saying, hey, once you're here, you're done, you know, because as we all know, that there's lots of things to learn beyond the CTI test.
Right. So
completely agreed, Brad. 110%. And maybe I misspoke, or maybe everyone misunderstood me. I am not scoffing at this whatsoever. It is truly an honor to have. It truly is. And I agree with you where you say it's a stepping stone. All of my guys that I have, that's what I want them to do. All of the guys, the other installers that I know, I'm calling them and saying, guys, we're taking the test here. I actually took my test in South Bend, Indiana, at Louisville Tile not too long ago. I called three of my guys, or three guys, they don't work for me, but three other installers in the area, and said, hey guys, we've been wanting to do this for a long time. Let's go, let's get it done. Okay. It is exactly what you just said. And I feel that same way. I just think the verbiage needs to be changed, or and everyone please help me with the with what I'm trying to say. We don't need to make it seem like it's the industry minimum. It needs to be somewhere above. And I understand CTEF doesn't say that in their verbiage on their websites and in their publications, but as, and I apologize, I do not remember your name, the gentleman that spoke a while ago that says, you know, online and in a lot of these tile groups, that is the general consensus that this is the, you know, the bottom, not bottom, industry minimums, excuse me. Now we need to get that out of everybody's head, and we need to stop talking or
So
make
Josh,
everyone
I'm gonna stop you right there.
Okay.
Just because we're kind of retreading ground.
Sure.
But again, just so that we're clear, that this is a CTEF specific group. It's about specifically what we're putting out of CTEF in our messaging. I would highly encourage everybody, as we all interact with other people and try to bring them into the CTI program. You know, if you feel like, you know, the idea that it's minimum is, you know, is unattractive, then absolutely, you know, find a different way. I think Oliver, you had something to say, or was it along those same lines?
Well, when Brad was talking, I was thinking about the people that have been in the trade for 15, 20 years, but don't seem to be able to pass the test, or those that we've all experienced. Me and Matt have been doing a lot of work together lately, and what would you say, Matt? Maybe 70%, 60 to 70% are second tries for the homeowner. They've already had someone install the tile, and now it has to get redone. And they're not by guys who are like, I just couldn't do it because I just started setting tile a year ago. These are guys that have been setting tile for a long time, and they're getting the work. So that was just my thought along that line, was that although it doesn't want to be a minimum in a negative sense, the message from CTEF needs to be that this is a stepping stone but it can't be so high that there's a possibility of just operating underneath it. Like, we don't need to go that far.
Yeah.
We're doing fine without being certified. Like, we're fine. But as a starting point for improvement, that becomes very valuable. That is just another step in the improvement of your company.
Yeah. I think Jim Seagos, you got something to say?
Yeah, real quick. Just from my experience going through the process, taking the test, I think it needs to be pushed further in like an educational platform, because at the end of the day, what you want to do with this is to understand that you don't know everything, and then to go through the process, like for what it did for me, like somebody was just saying, people are out here installing for 15, 20, 25 years, and they're doing it incorrectly to the point that you're getting failures pretty commonly. I know when I started, I did what my boss told me, and unfortunately, it was the wrong way. Like, to the point that he recently reached out to me, was like, hey, I want you to come do a shower with me to show me the right way of doing this, because I see how involved you are with it now. So, like, as far as like the punchline and all that stuff goes, I think it should really go to like an educational direction, as far as furthering your education, trying to raise the bar up and make yourself a better person, you know, a better setter for the trade. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Kind of get everybody else around you to you know, jump on that line and follow that lead.
Okay. Thank you for that input, Jim. Jim Upton, what you got?
I'm off mute. Okay. So just real quick, my you know, my concern about taking it away from the minimums is that we make the CTEF, like the CTI guys, like as some sort of like elite squad. And, you know, it really is, you know, we passed a minimum type of standard. So maybe the word minimum is an issue, but, you know, you think of the word journeyman, you know, that's just a set standard. So it's really not, you know, I think it's more like that journeyman word rather than it is like some sort of an elite type of squad.
Yeah. Well, thank you everybody for your comments on that. I think the takeaway there is maybe we can also find a little bit more messaging towards the place of standards and how the role that plays. Let me see. Somebody's chatting at me. So Brad brings up an excellent point. Is everyone aware of what else CTEF does, and are those other things going to continue to come out of CTEF? So Scott might be the best person to answer if the other the programs, I think that you're talking about specifically like the classes that people can take and the ACT program, which was on track to get a little bit more in gear later this year, but I'm not sure how COVID is affecting that. Scott, what are your comments on that?
Well, the training program has been in place when I got there, and I've taken it to basic training class, water shower based class, waterproofing class, inspection class, and then I do training classes on the road as well, geared specifically to what the host is looking for us to do. Beyond that, I never thought the word minimum crept into it, so it's sort of a surprise to me. But realize that the standards, ANSI and the details in the handbook, are a minimum standard. And the manufacturers that make waterproofing, backer board, you name it, tile, whatever, they have to meet that minimum standard. But they far exceed that because they're way above that many times. So you get a new mortar that's going to qualify as an A118.15, it's way up on the chart. So I guess the word minimum, and I see that because I never really wanted this thing to be the bottom line installer. We all know that they still exist. They will never take the test, and they know everything that the group of us don't know, and they're a heck of a lot smarter than we are. The bad part of the whole scenario is they're doing as much work as we are because there's so much work out there, even with the COVID. I've not talked to too many people, and you guys would be a much better forum than the ones I've checked so far. They're not slowing down that much, somewhere between 1% and 2%. It's not hit yet, but we'll see. But let me talk about ACT for just a moment. Our kickoff was to be June 30th, and that would be the next level. And we presently have 7 tests available. All of them are up and ready to go. We are now working on 2 more. So the folks that have sort of poo-pooed it in the past and says, nobody does conventional shower pans, water in, water out systems anymore. They're all sealed systems. Well, we will have them, both of them. So we're going to bring 421 and 422 into the ACTs. So that way, if you say, well, we don't do water in or water out systems in my area, but I do sealed systems, we've got 2 of them. So we are reacting to what's happening in the field to get that out. This has put an extreme crimp in it because I've had to cancel everything from March 15th. I just was on the phone on Friday to cancel into May as well. And I've got a viable class in Tampa, Florida that they're calling us to say, we've got more people we want to test. I can't do what the governor won't let us. So it's just sort of a touch and go at this point. It's not like working in a commercial application where there's nobody else there or a residential that's not occupied yet. So we're going to somebody's house to do the test.
So right now so if I'm reading Scott right, since everything is on hold right now, once everything starts getting back up, we'll be able to see a more clear roadmap. But the plan is, yes, Scott, that we're going to continue to offer the same training programs as well as the ACT program into the future. So, all right. So I do want to get us. Oh, go ahead, Brad.
Is that voice? I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. But that voice that you're wanting to put forward, as far as a tagline and as far as making sure your mission statement fits, it fits all of that, right? We're not just talking about CTI tests. We're not just talking about ACT tests, but it is the other legitimate educational tools that are available through the CTEF, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's actually what I was going to bring up again, just to remind everybody that CTEF is a industry body, similar to NTCA and TCNA. So it's not like an individual company. It's a 501c3 nonprofit. And so whatever message we have, whatever message we come out of COVID with, it has to be something that communicates the bigger picture. It's not just to installers. It has to be something that if we go to manufacturers and we say, hey, sponsor CTEF, the CTI program and the ACT program will bring value, we can refer to the same set of materials and values in an easy to communicate thing. So going back to the idea of transform the trade, take the lead, or put yourself to the test, which one of those will drive engagement with the CTI program? Let's focus specifically on industry partners, less with installers. What do you guys see that would be more appealing to industry partners specifically? Oliver.
Just one quick point on that. I don't think that the prove yourself or the test yourself would really feel applicable to partners that probably would never even consider taking the test themselves. They're not installers. Whereas something like take the lead allows them to join the group that's trying to set that leading force or that arrow point of the improvement of the trade. The transform the trade and the take the lead allows them to get behind something beyond the CTI test, whereas prove or test yourself may not really mean much to a technical rep that may never have installed before, or that won't be installing to the point of taking the test.
Yeah.
It'll get it beyond that.
Excellent. Thank you. Let's go to our Jersey guys. Ken, you want to go first?
Yeah, I was going to say, I actually really like the transform the trade. I think it really resonates with the stigma that we see across the board. I think that if you're looking for something to connect everybody with, that everybody can get behind, transform the trade is like a coming together. It's where everybody is taking steps to make a difference. And it's not, look at me, I took the test, I'm so much better. It's, we're doing this together as a movement, not a singular activity.
Great point. Thanks, Ken. How about Joe? What you got? Oh, hang on, I'll unmute you. There you go.
I think we're just looking into it like a little bubble.
Yep.
I think we got to look at it as a bigger picture.
Okay.
Now, I can tell some of us have BAs, right? We have those acronyms.
I'm sure.
So we can add those acronyms in our email address. So we have a BA, CTI, so on and so on. So I come from a finance, so you could become a CPA or a CFA. So if we resonate that same mentality into our trade, just to train other people, that why you go for a college degree, you got a BA, you got your GED or your high school degree, then you go on to get your BA, and then you go on to get your master's and your doctorate. So that's essentially the same exact mentality that it should resonate within our industry, but we're blue collar, right? By doing that, that raises the bar, one, raises the level of expertise, confidence, and knowledge. So, you're dedicating that much time into the resources that we have and the additional resources that the CTF will provide. And if you weren't a CTF or a CTI, you don't have that, available resources. So if we try to train people in that mentality, everything else will become easy.
Okay.
Right now, they're just blocked. Oh, it's a simple test, but they're not looking at the bigger picture.
Right. Excellent. Thank you very much for that. Anthony, you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, after we got to talking about, how it's more than just a test, I think, I didn't catch on to that right away. It's a CTF as a whole. And I like, as Ken said, you're transforming the trade, and that you said, Joseph, that you're adding value to the trade. Like, I think that should be played in there somewhere.
Okay.
I don't know how, but, transform the trade, adding value one test at a time or something like that. Like, incorporate the test, but the whole reasoning that everyone wants to keep taking the test and getting these accolades is to push the trade in general, adding value. I like that.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. Does anybody else have anything to say towards those taglines that we talked about and their bigger picture adaptability?
I definitely think the Transform would probably, you know, be easy to sell to a manufacturer. You know, if you think about how they're going to market what they do for the trade, you know, either the taking the lead or the transforming, we're helping installers transform the trade. We're helping installers take the lead. We're helping, you know, we're helping the labor force take those positive directions because we want to be positive, you know.
Yeah.
So I think both of those would be good.
Okay, thank you. Lee, did you have something you wanted to add? Welcome, by the way. Oh, hang on, let me unmute you. I got you. Go ahead.
Hey guys, sorry I'm late. I came into this late, but you guys are talking about all these topics and all these ideas. How are you guys going about advertising this like locally? I'm in Knoxville. We're fairly small as far as like towns and cities go. And outside of advertising it, you know, at Louisville Tile or Dow Tile, in some cases they don't. I tried to advertise it to my customers, but it's almost like they don't see an importance to it, right? So I come with the skill and I come with the higher price, but I always seem to get undercut by somebody that's, you know, half my cost, even though I try to stress and I go to the website and I tell them what's going on, but most of the time it's like they don't want to hear that whole spiel.
So we're gonna talk in a minute about local outreach. So can I put a pin in that for you?
Yeah, great.
All right, great. Thank you very much. So, given the comments that we've had now, I've heard probably two kind of repeated. And so between these two, I'm going to say A, and then everybody raise their hand if they prefer this over the other one. The two, A is transform the trade and B is take the lead. So if you prefer A, transform the trade, raise your hand, please. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, that's 11 out of 20. If you prefer B, take the lead. 1, 2, 3. All right, I count 3 or 4 for taking the lead as the preference. So, Anthony, did you have something you wanted to add? Oh, okay, gotcha. I'm going to lower your hand then. All right, cool. Well, thank you very much for your input on that, and we'll take that back to the organization. So the next thing that we wanted to talk about, it kind of ties in with that, is website issues. This is a quick one. When you go to the Ceramic Tile Education Foundation's website, which is ceramictilefoundation.org, what are the 3 most important things to see immediately? And anybody can jump in. Nick Wilcox, go ahead. Oh, hang on, I'll unmute you. Oh, there you got you.
Finding the installers that are certified.
Gotcha.
You would think as a consumer, if you're going there, that's really all you're looking for. You're not looking to get educated. You don't really give a shit. You're just looking to find someone near you, like at the map or whatever. You can just click a button right at the top, and it shows, you know, where you're at.
All right, everybody agree with that? Finding installers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, number 2. Lee, did you raise your hand, or was that just an agreement? Gotcha. Anybody else have like a number 2 thing that we need to see first thing on the website? Matt, what you got? Hang on, I can unmute you. I got you.
Sign up now.
Sign up now. All right, I'm writing all this stuff down, believe it or not. So sign up for a test, right?
Front page.
Agreed. All right, and number 3 priority, what should be on the homepage as soon as you log in? Brad, what you got?
I personally think pretty high on the list needs to be the legitimacy of who CTEF is, and that this third party that's going to be doing the evaluation has the knowledge, has the breadth of experience, and the motivation behind it to do what it's doing, right? I mean, I feel like, you know, making sure that somehow or another it establishes right off the bat that we're not sponsored heavily by excuse me, we're not sponsored heavily by one entity. We are solely focused on being completely non-proprietary. We're focused on just evaluating real skills or educating real skills. And we're doing that by the book, by our industry standards and methods. That's just personally, that's one of the things when I go to sell, if I'm going to sell the CTI to somebody, that's one of the first things I say. It is a third party evaluation. When I say that there's an educational opportunity available, that's the first thing I say. It's not a manufacturer that's putting this on, that's trying to get you to use their product. It is a non-proprietary third party establishing real educational goals outside of any other interest other than just to make you a better tile installer. And I just think that's important to hit somewhere early.
I agree. How does everybody feel about that? Establishing the bona fides of the CTEF first on the website.
Yeah, completely agree.
A lot of agreement. Okay, very cool. I also see in here from Jin Sigos is why hire a CTI as another thing to have on there. Jim, what you got?
I don't really know. I mean, I guess I would want to see like what the benefits are. And I think what Brad was talking about, that ties into that. And so just kind of like a third thing, like people, like, why do you hire what, like, what are the benefits of being a CTI, of hiring a CTI? There's different ways to come at it depending on where you're coming from. But and I think we got to be careful not to do like, there's features and there's benefits, and it's easy to tout the features, but the benefits are really like the bottom line type of thing. Yep. So anyway, I don't have like specific things to mention, but like what Brad was talking about, I think ties into that. So anyway.
Very cool. Well, thank you guys very much for all that input. Did anybody else have anything else to add specifically about the CTEF website? I don't see anybody. Ollie, what you got?
I was just thinking that the only two, I'm number 1577, so it hasn't been a really long time since I got mine, but the only two calls that I know 100% came off the website, the client didn't search for a certified tile installer until after they had a failed installation.
Okay.
And then it crossed their mind that, I wonder if there's actual licensed tile installers, or like, is this just how it goes? Because a lot of them have said that their installers like, well, this is normal. This is how this goes. And then it crosses their mind, I should search to see if there's some kind of license or certification for tile installers to see if I am wrong or if I'm right on this. So
gotcha.
That's a whole nother side from an installer looking on the website. But for the website, the purpose that it has served me already being an installer is that the clients are looking for something because they're in a bad situation. So something on the website quickly for them to find what they're looking for, because maybe they're in distress, we'll call it that, at that point already. And that's the only thing that's cued them to think, is there a more legitimate way for me to screen installers?
Gotcha. Thank you. I have from Coop, I think this is probably an addition to your thought. Is there a way to make the website more attractive on other websites, like advertising, correct? So more targeting advertising, is that what you're getting at, Coop? Okay. Wait, hang on.
And that's kind of what I'm talking about is, I mean, when I was with Ardex.
Oh, we kind of lost you, Coop. Coop, we can't hear you, so I'm going to come back to you in a minute after we get from somebody else for a minute,
Twitter's
okay?
the same way. All the companies.
Coop, I'm going to come back to you. David, I think you had your hand up a minute ago. Did you have something you wanted to add? Yep. Nope. Okay. Joe?
Yeah, I've received a few calls from the CTI website. Two of them from architects.
Okay.
So they understand the need for educated installers, et cetera, because they're on the same platform in their industry.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one was through failures. So some of the key words when you SEO on the back end, failures comes up primarily on the website. So I think we should put some portion, some menu bar failures.
Okay.
This is why you're a CTI. And one more point, I don't see anything from the manufacturers like Dial Tile or anything like that. Why? What do they see in the CTI?
Gotcha. Very good. Thank you. And then last, we're going to go to Jim's. Jim, is it Sigos or Sigos? I can't tell. Hang on. I got to unmute you. Give me a second. Hang on. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, it's Segas. It's close enough.
Sigos.
But
Okay.
maybe something along the lines of like showing, kind of piggyback what the guys were saying, but something that customers, shops, whatever it may be, can actually go onto the site and see what a proper shower installation looks like. This
Okay.
way, if they're in that position where, you know, they're concerned with the way an installation's going or whatever it may be, or if they want to go through and research it, they have the ability to do that relatively easily,
Okay.
you know, and to have something to look for, you know.
Got
That
you.
would kind of tie into other areas of what guys were saying to put on there as well, you know.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Hey, Coop, can you try to disable your video? I think that'll make your audio work better.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Kind of what I was getting at is when I was with Ardex and I would do trainings, you know, we would hype CTEF, we would talk about the test, you know, and I know Schluter, Weedy, all the manufacturers are the same way, but however, you don't see any of that on manufacturers' website. So yeah, that's what I was leading on is, you know, here recently I've had a couple of guys that have contacted me from contacting Scott about getting some work done. But I honestly don't know how they actually found it. You know, so if there was a way to get CTEF website as an advertisement on, you know, Florida Tile's site or, you know, any other tile manufacturer's site and those kind of things, I think it would be beneficial as a whole.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. In fact, this year at Coverings, we were planning on having CTEF qualified labor banners in the different sponsors' booths. And we were planning on having that as part of the contractor tour even. So I think this kind of ties in from the digital side, having them, you know, say, hey, if you like our products, we make the best products. Here are installers who won't screw them up. I like that. So, and then I see a lot of support in the chat too. So, all right, great. I have those written down. All right. I know we've been going for a little while now. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was local outreach. Honestly, I mentioned earlier, CTEF, we're a nonprofit. We depend on sponsorships and donations, right? So we would like to I personally would like to put out a challenge to you guys. If you can reach out to your local distributors, even the you know, national chains and whatnot, but go talk to your guys' local managers, talk up the CTI program, try to get them to sponsor CTEF. The more sponsors that we have, the better off these programs are going to go. They're going to go smoother, they're going to go faster, and as more people come into it, they'll raise legitimacy. Raising legitimacy will make it much easier for what Lee was talking about, which is us selling the value of our certification. And that's what sort of the whole point of this is. Can we come up with a unified message that we as installers can use, that we as companies can sell, you know, in our advertising, that the CTEF can sell to industry partners like manufacturers, to distributors, to other installers, something that everybody will see the same value in. So I'd like to personally put that out as a challenge to you guys. Direct them to the CTEF website. You can even lead them there. There's a donate now link, or there's also a section that says become a sponsor. If you can start showing the value of a CTI to a distributor, number one that comes to mind for me is that I know that distributors eat a huge amount of installs every year from failures. Unsupported backer board, poorly done waterproofing, where they don't want to go through the hassle of doing a warranty claim through the manufacturer. So the distributor just eats it. As the CTI program grows, we're going to see fewer failures, which is less of a write-off for them every year. So if you guys can sell that to your local guys, it's hard. Everybody's tight right now. But if you sell that value as it is future savings starting right now, get them more involved. And same with NTCA. If you can get them involved with NTCA as well. But the CTEF and the CTI program will benefit greatly from distributor outreach. So that's something I'd like you guys to do if you can, please. Does anybody have anything to add as far as that goes? Joe.
Isn't that a little redundant from what the NTCA already does? I mean, they already have the mailing list with the manufacturers, all the distributors.
How many things do you open from mailing lists?
If it involves in our industry, they do.
Well, yeah, but if they also see CTIs coming in and encouraging them, it can only help. It might be redundant, but honestly, like I said, we're a nonprofit. We need funding. So that's
And
what
how about social media?
Social media is also something that we're reaching out hard on. Unfortunately, we lost Heidi earlier this month, but hopefully we'll be able to get that back on track.
Can I say something?
Who?
Richard.
Yeah, Richard, go ahead.
I got a question. If you promote the CTF to the public harder, that would put the people in the trade to have to jump on board to meet that standards. Do you follow what I'm saying? If you promote the certified installer program as it being the standard for what people should be looking for the high standard to the public,
yep,
then obviously the people in the trade will have to sign on and start being certified, because you're attacking it on the back end instead of on the front end.
Right. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get it from all sides. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, we're focusing on the installers, which is great. I agree with that totally. That should be number one priority. But there's going to be certain people that's going to say, well, I'm good at this. I'm the best at this. I don't need the CTI.
Right.
And there's going to be people that are just looking for lowballing, that they don't care.
Yeah.
But then if you have the clients that are looking for the top of the line, the best of the best, then I would say we need to push as hard for the clients as we do for the installers. That way you're hitting it on the back end, and you're actually going to force people to become certified in a sense.
Gotcha. Thank you very much for that. I think Matt had something he wanted to say real quick. Go ahead, Matt. I got you. Hang on. There you go. I got you.
There we go. Just along those same lines, are we working towards some digital media, social media that we can share? And I'm thinking about hashtags and things like that. Also, I know we've got, bumper stickers this big, but even if there was a way to purchase it for a few dollars so that we could put a bigger decal on the truck driving around town.
You want to be able to buy merch.
Poster size, something to put up in the shop, or poster. I'll sneak into the doll tile and put it on their bulletin board. Stuff like that, to where every time, I know I'm seeing a lot of names that I recognize from Facebook and Instagram. Every time we post a picture, that we can also post that hashtag, so that as people are searching, Instagram seems to be the way that people are really looking for a lot of pictures and things like that for inspiration right now. A hashtag that we can kind of all band together behind to really push the certified side of this.
Gotcha. Yeah. We're definitely that's definitely something that we're going to try and do better on. Again, it all kind of goes back to messaging. Because if we start doing outreach and we've got all these sorts of disparate things, it's going to be difficult for it to actually pick up momentum. So we're starting with a message, and then we're going to kind of roll from there. I think Lee had his hand up first, and then Jim, and then we'll come back to you, Joe. Go ahead, Lee.
So back to what he was saying about the hashtag, is there any way, like the meetings that we're doing, to be able to get manufacturers or distributors on board, right, and come up with some kind of local QR like barcode, to where if a customer comes in and they're looking for the labor that can do what they're looking for, right, to where they can just scan that code, and that's region specific, right? So it'd come up with certified installers for the Tennessee area or the Seattle area or the Ohio area, to where they won't have to go to the website. Everybody's got that barcode scanner. It's, you know, it's all digital, and it just comes straight up, and from there it shows region and who's got what. And if there was a way that we could create some kind of profile that as we do these classes, whether it be with the NTCA or with the CTEF, to where it lists on there, I guess, like our credentials, right? To where it shows that we're continuing our education. We got certified at this date. We're continuing training, that we, you know, just on and on, almost like a portfolio.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Those are some good ideas.
Yeah,
Jim, what did you have to say?
I have kind of a dumb question, I guess, but I got to thinking about like if we went into a distributor, and you know, I'm thinking about what like objections. So we talked to them about, you know, there's less failures. Like I'm thinking about what are they going to come back with, right? So there's no statistics to like support, you know, that CTIs have less failures, or I mean, I don't even know how you compile that. So I'm just asking, I guess.
Well, if I personally would say, and maybe Scott, you can get in on this too. Personally, I would say if they say, well, how do you know? I would go back to what industry standards are. They've been developed over years by manufacturers and installers and materials manufacturers, and they've been tested, and that's why they're the foundation of the trade. What do you have to say? Do you have anything to add on that, Scott? Yeah.
Boy, that's a loaded question. I'm not sure how to go with that one. Let me go back to some of what I've listened to, and it's all been great dialogue, and I thank each one of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to do this. We're reaching out, man. Joseph and I had this conversation earlier this week, and I said, okay, let's stop right here, Joseph. You're a guy, single guy in Greenville, South Carolina. Tell me how I reach you, because that's our problem. How do we reach the people that either there's a couple of classifications. There's the guy that's so lofty that they can be artisans, and we've seen a lot of that beautiful work out. And I tested one of them in Fresno, California. So some of those folks are coming in place. We've got the group that we have right in front of us. And then we've got the group that will never be, and hopefully the bottom feeders will just go away. The problem we've got is, how do we reach the guy that's right in the middle that will have a desire to want to do this? You all did it for whatever reason. We can take that poll, but I don't think we have to. It's just difficult to get in front of, and I heard it mentioned about advertising. How do we get in front of the consumer? We have spent a fairly significant amount of money. And again, as Joseph has so appropriately said, we're a 501c3. So we spend only what we receive. And after the covering show went down, that is a huge hit. So we don't know exactly where we're going to come out on the other end. We're hoping that we'll be okay, but we don't know, because the covering show doesn't know yet either. But it's really difficult to get in front of the local person, especially if they're going for the first time. So they've got a designer, they've got a GC, and they're looking for a tile guy. And some GCs are going to say, I've got my best guy, he can do anything. Well, when people tell me they do tile, that scares me. That means that's something else they do along with everything else. I want a real tile guy, the guy that really knows what he's doing. He knows the standards, and he knows. I can tell you, when we used to do proposals to our clients, I went in and said, this is B415. Here's the board we're using. I gave them a list of everything that we were using, including the methods that we were going to utilize. Then they would come up and say, well, but this guy's half of your price. I said, what did he write down? Oh, by the way, is he insured? Does he have any license? And of course they didn't. And if I knew I wasn't going to get it, my last line to them would be, I would hand them my card one more time, and I would say, call me when you need me. Because now you've just planted that seed of doubt in their mind, and they're going to say, he didn't say if, he said when. How does he know when? Well, the reason we know when is because all of us have gone out and hopefully not fixed somebody else's mistake, but torn it out and redid it. Sorry, Joseph, I went off on a rant.
No, you're fine there. And we got Aaron Albrecht in, by the way, who is also a CTEF board member, and she just wanted to make clear it is tile contractor because we have several female installers. In fact, Paige Pomerane was supposed to be in here. I don't know if maybe she's listening in on the phone, but yeah. So it's a huge task for us to outreach like this. That's why I put out to you guys, if you go in and you talk to your distributors, we start it from that level. If we get the distributors to start supporting CTEF, and then this distributors start recommending to their installers, their good installers, to take the CTI, it'll start from that end as well. We're going to do what we can, but we're a small organization. And so our biggest resource that right now is untapped is volunteers. We've got almost 1,700 CTIs. That's 1,700 potential volunteers that can make a huge difference on the local level to get distributors and other companies to kind of start supporting this, because it's super important. I got Anthony next, and then Ken, if you don't mind waiting a second. I got this.
All right, there we go. So I think it's great that we're doing something at this level. I don't know if this is a regular thing, but this is the first time I've been on a conference call like this. But I think
this is the first one.
I mean, I think you're doing the right thing. I think it starts right here. Getting local CTIs aware that we have something we have to team up and go attack together. And I think I always fought social media. I don't know. It was never my thing. I don't know. But, like, social media is huge. It's huge. Whether it's Instagram, Facebook, whatever, there's a million different avenues now. I think that's the plan of attack, and try to gather up, who already has a commitment, CTI or any other kind of certifications, and just collectively we need to get the word out and just keep pushing. And there's 6 of us at Three Brothers Tile, and my goal is to, have 2 more CTIs this year come out of our 6. And, there's other installers in our area. We rub shoulders when we go to, Home Depot or wherever. And, I always talk about it. I'm, proud of it. I think it's an awesome program. I think it's something that tests yourself, more so. This is my trade. I didn't know there was a test. As soon as I was aware there was a test, I was like, well, I need that. I mean, that's me. It's what I do, So, I instantly, put it on the goals list. And, when it came into the area, I jumped right on it. And, I'll continue to support it. But definitely, we're the frontline guys that are out there in the field. We're talking to the GCs. Yep. We're talking to our reps at, Avalon and wherever, Tile Shop or wherever we're buying our tile. We're talking to those reps, and they host the events. Like, we need to keep pushing them and just make it known that it matters. Like I always say to customers, I printed out the brochure of why to hire a CTI.
Yep.
That we got with the CTI test. I printed out a bunch of them, and, like, as I'm leaving, I'm just saying, hey, look, there's a certification for tile installers, and I just give them the pamphlet. I say, I'm CTI 1615, you're in good hands, do it right the first time.
Yeah. So before we move on to Ken, Aaron reminded me that we have a potential program that we want to start where we can blast out specifications where architects and builders are specifying qualified labor. A great way for us to show value and that we could even take advantage of to start putting in bids if they happen to be in our area, but to show people like, hey, you want to know why you should become a CTI? Look at this. These are big contracts. These are big companies. They want qualified labor. They don't want anybody off the street. They want qualified, and qualified means CTI. Qualified means journeyman, etc.
And I think at this point, it's a little early to be able to say that it's a requirement, or you want these contractors to hire CTI only, because we don't have enough of us out there. We're spread too thin. But like, to fast forward where we're going, I think, once we have enough backing, enough people that are certified, it's going to get rid of the hacks. They're not going to be able to compete because they just don't have the quality, and it'll get rid of them, and it'll drive up the prices of our installs.
Well, and it's a good thing that these specifications, it's happening now. It is already happening. That's something that Erin is bringing out. She's texting me. It is already happening. So there's already that value that we can not only tap into, but we can show others. Ken, I think you're up next, and then Joe.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think that, on a personal level, it really comes down to putting ourselves out there, putting our work out there, and, posting regularly what you're working on, showing others what you're pulling off on your installs, and kind of setting the standard with it. It's great that I'm a CTI, but I need to show others what I'm working on. It's not just enough to push the program, to push the hashtags, like on Instagram, on Facebook, on everything that you're working on. Get and then the Facebook groups and everything. Post regularly, post your work, post what you're working on, post what you're and be a positive influence in these groups, because they're such a valuable resource. It's not enough to just throw your number around. You have to step up and really put your work out there and show others, why we are what we are and why we're involved in this.
Agreed. Thank you very much. Joe, what you got?
Yeah, so Erin brought, I don't know if you've seen Erin's program that she's launched. I think it's ingenious. We're approaching it down from below.
Yep.
Let's approach it from the top.
Right.
Work our way down, right? So how come the architects and the interior decorators, they have to pursue their CEU, correct?
Yep.
They have to get a
Continuing
certain amount of
education.
credits. Why don't we implement one of those CEU credits with the CTI? So now the interior decorators, the architects, and everything trickles down. We'll get that huge awareness. Now you've already implanted that CTI, certified tile education, and the CTEF. It's already embedded in their brain. So if you educate and then you create that once a quarter, education process as a big setting, and you have a manufacturer, why they're promoting a CTI over a non-qualified, that's a huge statement.
Yeah.
In addition, I think you should treat the CTF as a organization, a company, not just for a nonprofit. Think of the NBA. Think of Kraft. Think of Tesla or Nike. They have brand ambassadors, right? So why don't we get brand ambassadors once a month, once every 3 months, to be the voice? Do a digital ad, do a digital video, see what they're doing, why they became a CTI. Look at the project that they were able to access becoming a CTI.
So I really appreciate you bringing that up, because that's actually something that is actually in the works, and soon we're going to put out a call for CTIs like you to make a quick video describing the value of the CTI, why you did it, etc. And then part of it is going to be tagging at the end with whatever we settle on as our actual line, part of that brand. Again, to raise that awareness, to create buzz, all of this stuff. But right now, this conference call, this is really figuring out what the seed is, and we're going to try and grow it rapidly from here. you know. Wayne, what did you have to say? Oh, hang on, I'll unmute you. Give me a second. Hang on. There you go. Go ahead, Wayne.
How do you get your? This is going off of somebody else's comment that it's starting to move in the future and all of that. No offense, Scott, but my guys are scared shit to come and take the test. They don't want anything to do with it. They've been to a few of Scott's shows and they're just like, I don't know, no way, no way, no way.
Well,
and I blew Scott off for 3 or 4 years because I was scared to take. So I think you really got to get these younger guys in, and you got to get them hooked on. Let's do it.
Agreed. Oliver, you had something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I was thinking about the fact that this is going to take some endurance on our part as well. Like, it's going to take some time. I was thinking about how long did it take Schluter to pioneer getting something besides rubber pans through an inspector. I mean, for those of us that lived through that period, it took forever for guys that have been at this a while to look at something besides cement board and rubber pans and think that this is okay. It took a lot of education and it took some time. So that was just my thought to add, that we're getting a lot of really good feedback with this, and it's going to take, you know, all of us being willing to put in some of the work and the endurance that we're going to need to push this through. And obviously COVID is not helping, but even beyond that, you know, there's a lot of work to steer in a ship this big.
Yeah, absolutely. So CTEF started in 1996. The CTI program started, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, about 10 years ago. Oh, hang on. I got you, Scott. Go ahead.
There we go. April 7th of 2008, and
2008.
in Orlando, Florida, with 5 people.
So 12 years ago, we started the CTI program. We're now at 2020. We're ready for the next explosive growth moment. This is the next phase. That's why we're doing something like this. You know, all the decisions that were made before were great for the time, and they've led us to now. And now we're at a phase where we can really start hammering it hard and growing rapidly in the CTI program. So, like Oliver said, it's going to take energy from all of us that can. And so that's why I'm putting out, even right now, to start with the distributors. You know, Scott, you have something to say?
I just wanted to follow up on something that Ken brought up about posting your work, and really that is brilliant, because that's the only way people watching on Facebook are going to see what a quality installation looks like. But to take it a step further, Ken, what you said is post your work and show them what you're doing and how it's being done right the first time. I'll say another step further that would help is show them you're a CTI. Put the logo up, put your number up, whatever you want to do. But when people are looking at that kind of work, they can't tell whether that guy that's posted for the first time and everybody kindly helps him realize that he's not quite there yet. But if they know you're a CTI and you're posting better work and the specs that Aaron's talking about, which are huge, because yeah, I agree that commercial work is differently driven, but residentially, if you're doing the better work, you're going to be the go-to guy, because they're going to call you to come fix somebody else's mistake. And I would hope that none of you say, oh, I can fix that. No, we'll tear it out and we'll put it in the right way the first time, or what it should have been the first time.
And I want to mention too, some of the, Erin's asking me to mention that she's done a lot of work with Cosentino on Decton and pushing that. Cosentino is actually offering discounts to qualified labor in residential applications to install that stuff. They want CTIs. I met my local Cosentino rep. I told him I was a CTI. His face exploded in a smile. He's like, I've got so much stuff I want to talk to you about. I've got all this stuff I want to do. I want to start sending work your way immediately. So there's excitement there. This is grassroots stuff. And that's, you know, we don't have to wait for others we can also start doing that. Let's see. I think, Ken, you had something you wanted to say?
Yeah, man, I just wanted to add, there's another resource that I don't know if this conversation has been had at, any recent point, but I am CTI 1392. For those of you that don't know me, I also install flooring, and the tile industry is just a part of the bigger flooring industry, which is why so many of you guys come to Surfaces, a flooring show. I'm CTI 1392. I am CFI 13,604, and I got that certification 10 years ago. The CFI is a flooring, certification group. But what they do is they have partnered with like the NWFA, the National Wood Flooring Association, to kind of join their efforts. And, so if you take your CFI in hardwood, then that also counts towards the NWFA, and you have to, take the written portion of the NWFA certification, and then that, gives you that certification. So I think if something where CTI could work with CFI and kind of open themselves to that much larger market, I think there are over 20,000 now CFI installers. There's so much potential there, and I would be happy to exchange contact information for whoever needs it, wants it, whatever. But there's a lot of potential, especially now that the CFI has been bought by WFCA.
Yeah. So Ken, would you mind emailing that information to Kathy?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Jim, I think you had something you wanted to say too, or did we cover it already? You're good. Okay. Erin's got a couple other things she wants me to mention about the Cosentino Decton partnership. Part of the advantage of Decton is that we can do countertops and install them to TCNA standards. Cosentino wants to train qualified labor to install this stuff, and part of that is training to cut it and install it with hand tools. And in fact, they're actually giving tools to CTIs that are going to trainings. They're wanting to develop partnerships as a big company with qualified labor installers. So that's one example of a program that was developed by a CTI. Erin did that. We can also start doing stuff like that, driving that excitement. We don't have to wait. All of us can do it. So I really appreciate everybody's participation in this. I'm just going to recap real quick what we covered. We discussed, I think we all kind of settled on transform the trade as being the best option to make it broad and applicable to all markets that we're trying to reach with CTEF as far as being an adaptable message. We talked about a few things that we need to have on the website. First and foremost is finding installers and signing up, having the bona fides as independent organization, as well as the reasons to hire a CTI. We want to look into targeted ads, to get the idea of CTIs out there when people are searching for tile installers, tile contractors. If they search for tile failure, or if architects are searching, we want CTEF to come up. We want to have manufacturers representing their support for CTEF on their side, not just on our side from the sponsorship. And we want, on a local level, our guys, our CTIs, to go out and push our distributors to support CTEF. Also, we want to see where social media outreach will go. As soon as we can get this kind of coalesced, we'll see a much more unified push on that. We've got an idea to set up CEU about qualified labor from CTEF, connecting with CFI potentially as well. So did that about cover what we talked about for everybody? And we're going to talk about, Erin is bringing up goals. how many CTIs a quarter. So we're gonna try and get that too. But as far as this group, Nick,
I think setting a quota on it might be slightly dangerous. It's then at that point you're not like, it's not really a test of people achieving something. You're then trying to just push it through.
well, it's not a quota, it's a target, you know.
I can understand, but it's still, it's the dangerous area of that's what it presents itself as, is like a quota, not necessarily a goal.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not something like we're going to put out that we're trying to.
Gotta write 30 tickets this month.
Huh?
Yeah, gotta write
I mean,
30 tickets this month.
Right. No, it's not like that. But I mean, just like every organization, I mean, even I have a small business. I am my whole company. I have internal targets that I'm trying to reach. We have, as an organization, CTEF, we have targets that we want to reach. We're not changing things to make it easier, but we are trying to do that. Part of that is bigger outreach so that more people know about the program. And then as more people know about the program and they take the test, the numbers will naturally rise. But we do have targets for that. Jim, what did you want to add?
Yeah, just real quick, a way around that would be to set a bar for the tests. You know, number of tests rather than number of.
Agreed.
tests.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same
Yeah.
thing.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate those. Appreciate that. So, all right. So does anybody else have anything that I missed on that recap? No?
I guess one thing to add is like the social media thing for us locally, at least, is very successful, I feel, for the CTI.
Good.
With my personal group, we had before me, we had Lee, who won the Tile Craftsperson of the Year award. So he's, you know, at another level. And then there was our certifier is from Plymouth, which is like an hour away from all of us around locally. And in the Milwaukee-ish area, we had a class of like 9 people, some of them from Chicago and Illinois, and all of us were like very camaraderie kind of ish, very very brotherhood ish. And after that was done, I'd say 70% of that first graduation class attended the next one that was at the distributor, and everyone was there rooting them on and trying to give them you know, positive vibes and everything. And I think most of, if not all of that class as well passed. And on the social media side, we're all pushing it fairly heavily in our local groups and all that other stuff. And we're all of the understanding that we actually, you know, turned a couple of the other people that were negative against it into taking it and trying it. And now they're positive as well. But the difficulty I see is, how do you get the people that aren't on social media? And there's a lot of people in our industry that aren't on social media. And that's the hurdle that I see is that's going to be a large number of people if we can get past that one.
Well, that's one of the reasons that we're asking CTIs to go to the distributors. Every tile guy goes through a distributor. If your distributors are recognizing the value of a CTI and then recommending CTIs, then that's gonna start pumping up the interest. And it's not just going to be distributor, not just local, but the big name ones like Dow and Avalon and the manufacturers as well. I got Ken. He wants to say something first, and then we'll go to Matt and then Jim. Go ahead, Ken.
I was just going to say that, you know, back to what Nick said about the camaraderie, Jersey especially, the first test was, you know, myself, Carl Leonard, Donnie, Pete, Bill, you know, there was a handful of us, and we did the same thing. The next test, we went to the test to support the guys that were taking it. I was just out to the last test that Jim and Anthony both took, and you know, was there supporting them. I think that goes a long way, because when, you know, the new guys and girls coming in to see it, see us not more established, but who have done it longer, who have had it longer. We come to support them. I think that goes a long way, showing the, you know, that how we're here for each other. And, you know, we've really, that group that I took my test with, and even the future ones, like, we lean on each other, we work with each other. I'll reach out to them first if I need help on projects. You know, if I work by myself, so I don't have helpers or anything like that, but I will gladly reach out to Carl and Donnie and Bill and Jim and Anthony and say, hey, you know, I need help on this project. Come, you know, because I know I can trust them. I've not that I've had to see their work, but we see them participating online. I've seen them, they've taken their CTI, and I know I don't have to babysit them on one of my projects.
Maybe that's something we can have our regional and our industry evaluators do, reach out to the previous class or some of the other local CTIs and come on, Jim. On. That's a great idea.
Absolutely.
Matt, what you got?
I know you kind of just made the point that all tile guys go through a distributor.
Tile contractors.
I'm sorry, contractors.
Tile.
I just want to play a little devil's advocate. Around here, that's not the case. We don't have local distributor is over an hour away. The people that we're having a problem with are the Lowe's Home Depot guys. How do we reach the bucket and trowel and pickup truck guy that's just shopping, Lowe's Home Depot? How do we get to those guys? I'm scratching my head. I'm just bringing up that as a question.
That is a great point. I'm going to put that on the list, and maybe we can follow up with you and some of the other more rural guys and figure out some stuff a little bit later on.
One other thing real quick just a thought on the marketing side and the social media side. Once we kind of narrowed down on this, maybe the take the lead or transforming trade, when we get that message kind of set in stone, I'm thinking about some of the manufacturers and the way that they have a much larger marketing budget than we do, obviously. But I'm thinking of like the Flood Test Freddy, the little rubber duck that sits in the shower pan. Think about the advertising that Schluter gets because of that silly duck. And then I think of Laticrete and the flag that has traveled around the world. We've all seen the picture of the flag on top of a mountaintop or, wherever it is. Is there some sort of I don't want to say gimmicky product like a flood test Fred, but is there a flood test Fred that we can come up with that says, hey, this was, that we can put in a picture to post on social media that says, hey, this is a job done by certified tile guy.
It's a token.
That's a great idea. So
Token was
yeah, Jim Upton, what you got? And then we'll go to Jim Sigos.
So this ties into what Matt was talking about is, I was thinking like when we go to the distributor, it'd be kind of nice to have something that we could leave on the counter or something like that for the people that come in. Maybe it's something that they can scan on their phone and get some information on their phone. Maybe it's a flyer, something like that. It gives us something to talk to the people at the distributor about, get some questions. If people come in and there's some interest, maybe the distributors take notice. So it might be something that kind of, works both ends of that. So anyway.
Very good. Thank you for that. Jim Sigos, what you got? Oh, hang on. I'll unmute you. There you go.
All right. Yeah, regarding going through the distributors, stuff like that. I know when I took my CTI in at Avalon in Cherry Hill, they were like broadcasting that they had a CTI event going on, that local installers were testing. The problem with that is we need, I guess, if we could make it work, test through different distributors. You know what I mean? Like Avalon did an amazing job with it. They're very supportive of CTIs in the area, but we only get one test a year there. Do you know what I'm saying? So if we could reach out to other, we need help from you guys as well. Where if we can reach out to other suppliers, other distributors, schedule more tests there, it's kind of going to put a match under the other guys that aren't CTIs. They see that exposure, they see that advertisement. It's gonna put a match under their ass to take that test as well. It's also going to educate.
Probably one of the best things we can ask you to do then in that case, if you go to those other ones and you start introducing the program to them, you tell them to start supporting, show them the website, and then give them Kathy's email address or Scott's email address, or hell, you can even give them my email address, and we'll get them. If we have more partners that are available to us, we'll start filling them up.
Well, like kind of to piggyback off of what Jim just said as well, if we had something that we could take to them, I know I've got a good relationship with a lot of my suppliers. If we had something that we could take to them that they could even give to customers or leave on the counter or something like that, that's a huge selling point to customers, as well as installers as well.
Scott, what you got?
Jim, that's a great idea, and we've done that. I would say if you give me a list of 3 installers, where are you, by the way? Knoxville?
Delran, New Jersey.
Oh, New Jersey. That's right. You did
Yeah.
say Avalon. Avalon has been a great partner for us, and they have done a really good job. In that particular location at the opposite end is a Dow Tile.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there. I've done workshops at the facility. It's difficult for us. If you give us a list and I make that call and they're saying, who is this guy? I've never heard of him before. Too busy. Goodbye. But if you go do it because you're putting your check on the counter when you buy materials, they'll listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we really need. All I need is a way in the door. If you can provide that to me, and somebody just popped up on the chat screen about Knoxville, you get me somebody, we'll bring it. Once this COVID thing is settled down, we'll bring it. It's not the test that we need 10 people to get it done. I've got enough evaluators now that we can move that around, and we'll bring it. I don't know who that was from Knoxville, but we'll bring it.
I think that was Lee Luchik, right? Yeah. So one of the things that we might also be able to do is start pressuring these manufacturers more like Cosentino to give discounts to qualified labor, to CTI specifically. But the key there, just like Scott was saying, right now, CTEF staff is 2 people. It is Scott Carruthers and Kathy McAllister. Then, we've got volunteers. We've got some passionate people on the board. Me and Aaron and Trask and several of the others on the board are all, bringing a lot of energy. But again, we've got NEARS makes no difference, 1,700 CTIs out here. Help us bring it up organically. We'll try and bring pressure from the top. You guys help us bring pressure from below. We don't know where all the distributors are. We don't. So if you guys go in there and you start preaching it, take a half day every 2 weeks. Go hit your distributors and say, hey, have you started supporting CTEF? Have you figured out how to start boosting qualified labor? If they feel the pressure, because they probably don't know about it yet, if they feel the pressure, they will start supporting it. Scott, you had something else to add?
Tagline to that. I can make a phone call to numerous corporate heads, and they'll say, Scott, whatever you need, wherever you need it, we'll do it. But if I don't have the local distributor on board, it isn't going to happen. Matt, I'm looking at you because we've done some workshops together, and I've done workshops with a couple of you together. And if the manufacturers support the program, great. But if you don't have the local manager or the district manager or whomever is going to take that lead, it'll fall flat. I've done them because I've gone through and I've hit the corporate heads and said, I need a test here. And they said, not a problem, we'll get it done. And they called the local guy and said, you will do this. Well, he's got 2 stores to manage and he's all over the place and he can't handle it. So this becomes the last thing that gets done. It doesn't do well, and we end up with 1 or 2 people, and then we cancel the test, and that's a bad taste for everybody. I don't want that to happen anymore because we've got enough evaluators that we can make it work with smaller groups. But I need the place. You guys are in there every day talking with these folks, and you've got their ear because you bring cash to their place. We don't bring anything because unfortunately with CTF, as one of the manufacturers says, Scott, every time I see you coming, he said, I put both my hands in my pockets because I know you want something. So, just the nature of the game. But you guys really have a huge potential to help us get in the door. I mean, Matt, if I pick on you, if I called you and said, hey, I want you to be a CTI and you've got epoxy grout going, you're going to say, I'm too busy, man. Call me later. It's a lost call, and the cold calls are super difficult. But you've got the people that you're working with, and it doesn't have to be the big players. And nobody owns this test. I will tell you the idea, Jim. I think it was your idea, and we do have flyers available that we can provide to you. But I will tell you from experience in one particular, and it's in Florida. We supplied materials to a host, and he was hosting the test. He went up and down the strip and handed those materials out to every one of those places to about 9. He had one of his showroom salespersons about 10 days later go to all 9 of those locations. Anybody want to guess how much material was still available on the counter or on the bulletin board? None. It was all gone, because if they don't host it and run it, they're not interested in supporting it. If they're hosting it, they're in, and that's great. I've had to pull tests from locations because that was the case that night. I went right down the street and got somebody else, and they said, well, if we would have known. I said, well, yeah, we gave you the opportunity. So again, you guys have the huge potential to help us get this thing off the ground. More tests. I mean, Joe, who do you want in your area? Do you want more CTIs in your area? Because you and I have been to workshops that I've done together. You want more people in your area that do what you do? Or do you want the trial and bucket guys that don't do it well? We all know the answer to that question. We want to raise the bar with more people right beside us bidding the same project the same way, and we're going to do it right first time. Sorry, I'm off my soapbox.
No, you're fine. Aaron Albrecht also wants to give us a few tips on what we can do as we go in and talk to these guys. Ask them what motivates them. Ask them questions on the local level. Again, what challenges are they facing? Where are they losing money? Because money is what speaks, right? Do they wish that clients were coming in and saying, you know what, actually, I think I will go with that more specialty tile because actually I think that it'll be done well now. You know, it's more difficult, but I think it'll be done right now. Ask them their issues and how CTI can help them and help their sales. Talk money to them. But again, it takes time from us. You know, we want the CTI program to grow. We got to take a couple hours. You know, it doesn't take a ton of time. But you go in there, you show some passion, and they'll respond. Joe, did you have something you wanted to add? And then we'll go to David.
All right. You ready for this? Thinking outside the box.
All right. This is a brainstorming session.
HDTV.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to bring out 2 guys. We got to go after them. James O'Connor, this old house. We've screenshotted how many times those guys are spot bonding. Let's get HDTV. Let's get Holmes guy on it, and O'Connor. Let them sponsor us. Boom. Number 1.
Okay.
Number 2. There's a couple of big guys, and we're all on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Why don't we go after the influencers? There's a few of them on there that are building incredible homes. Let them put in a word in there. There's a guy out in Arizona. It's not coming to my head, but and that guy who's sponsored with everybody with
Luke Miller, Tile Money.
What's that?
Are you talking Tile Money with Luke Miller?
No. I'm talking about a guy who's got like 1 million followers.
Oh, okay.
He's on every single. What's that?
You talking about our very own Ken Ballin?
This one follower, he's incredible. Everything. He's very influential the way he speaks, and he's all for the betterment of the trade. So we should ask these influencers if they can put once a month, twice a month, whatever it is, can you put in and endorse the CTF? Scott, if we need a host in New Jersey or one of the states, and you have enough guys to take the testing facilities, reach out to us. I know about 3 or 4 locations that will sponsor it. North Jersey, there's nothing. I have to go down south. I don't know why there's so many CTIs down south. New York is huge as well. Skilled trades, other avenues that we can promote. Skilled trade school, there's a few. I think somebody made those comments. So we can educate the younger generation through this. In addition, somebody mentioned about Home Depot and Lowe's. Why can't we bash Home Depot installers and all this? Why can't we promote that as well?
Yeah, we want to bring in more people.
Yeah.
We want more people to do the right work. So
Exactly. And then one more thing, Lowe's is sponsoring Generation T.
Generation T. Okay.
I think we should be included in that as well.
Okay. Excellent.
I'm involved in that.
I am putting that on the list. So I think, David, you had something you wanted to add next. We can't hear you, David. Nope, still can't hear you. So I'll come back to you, David, once you figure out your audio. Does anybody else have anything they wanted to add about that? More steps that we can take individually on a local level, on a grassroots phase. And here's the thing. If you have an idea to boost engagement locally about the CTI program, don't feel like you have to wait for CTEF approval. Don't feel like we have to do it. If you want to go drum up support, go drum up support. You know, we all have the same goal. We all want the tile trade to elevate. That's what it's all about. It's a big picture thing. And so if you come up with something, do it. Get other guys to do it. Post about it on your local social media. Get involved in your local Facebook groups, all sorts of things like that. You'd be amazed just what the knowledge that something exists will do for that. Did anybody else have anything? Oh, Scott, you wanted to add something?
What just flashed into my head was local things get started and they blossom. Anybody remember Mud 1? Mud 1, Lee, you got it? Then there was Mud 2. And then this year there's Mud 3. There was probably 250 people there. I will tell you that DeSoto Sales pulled off a miracle with what they did out there that day, and it went really well. We tested 13 people at that location. I was concerned about everybody wanting to root them on, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But there was a lot of naysayers that wanted to pick. So I gave that to Lance, and he said, Scott, I got it, not a problem. When I arrived in Fresno, and those of you that were there or saw pictures, he built a thin set wall, 3 pallets high on 2 sides to keep those folks at bay. And it worked. But that's the kind of dedication you've got. And Lance, I said, man, if I could clone you, we would have so much easier time of it. But that's the host who's on board and did whatever it had to do to take, not only to promote the CTI, but also to promote the mud work, which is why everybody was there. So we tagged that one as an invitation from them. So it will work, but I need you guys on the ground to be able to reach out to them and make that happen. And we will get them.
We have the numbers, and other organizations are excited when they hear our numbers. Cosentino, when they heard we had over 1,600 qualified installers out there, they flipped their lid and they started putting together these programs, and they were super open to it, and they're super open to working with us. You know, it's easy to say we only have 1,600, or we can say we have over 1,600 installers. You know, all of us can start pumping that up. Jim Seagos, you got something you want to say?
Real quick. So regarding these tests that we might be able to promote, so say we find a shop that's willing to promote a test, host a test, all that. I mean, ideally, where do we want to be on, I guess, attendance there? I mean, obviously, the more people we can get, the better. But like, where would we be at for like a minimum for that? You know what I mean? As far as for them to actually run a test, and you know,
Scott,
like as far as our presence, like how many people would you guys come out to test? You know, 'cause I can think of about 2 shops right now that we could probably get easy 7 to 10 guys in to take a test. And
where are you, Joe?
I'm in New Jersey.
That's not going to be a problem.
Well,
I
I
was
think
actually going
Scott,
to
he's
reach out to one of
asking
my
like
suppliers after I got.
what's a practical minimum that we need to set up a test?
Minimum to make it feasible for everybody involved, including the host, is 5.
Okay.
I have run tests with 1. Where's Oliver? I lost his picture, but Oliver, are you still there? How many in your class?
Me and the pay rep.
2. So the smallest one that I've done is 1. It happened to be at my place, but the largest one I've ever done, not by myself, was at the covering show in Orlando the 3rd time, and we had 21 people. I had 3 evaluators for that, and it worked. I did it in, I'll just say, the Southwest, and we did 19 people with 2 evaluators. So don't worry about the numbers. Now, if it's a 1 or 2, that gets to be a little bit dicey because you're asking the guy to tie up his building for a day and a half.
Yeah.
So that it has to be feasible for them because there has to be an ROI for them as well. If nothing else, just the notoriety. And with social media to pump it, and let me put one point about social media. I'm all for it, and I'm the old guy here. That's why I have this. But Joseph, look at how dark his hair is. See, he'll get there.
It's that Chinese blood.
I will tell you that social media, with all the things that Heidi has done and all the things that now Kathy is picking up that pace, social media does not put CTIs in the test chair. It just doesn't happen. Now, as far as getting the enthusiasm and build up even the naysayers, because you guys are great. And when a naysayer comes after us, and we had to have a few discussions early on about social media, if something gets ugly with CTF or CTI, we say nothing. You guys take care of it. It makes it happen. We don't have to fix that because now it becomes defensible. You guys take, hey, I don't see it that way, and it just takes care of itself.
Now, would you guys feel more comfortable if you knew who your regional evaluator was and you could reach out to them and talk to them about setting up tests?
Not necessarily.
Well, I mean, as opposed to just relying on CTEF headquarters setting up tests. If you knew who the guy locally was who was setting up and evaluating these, is that something that you would be willing to reach out and say, hey, I want to work with you to set up a test around here? Bueller?
We actually, and to break the silence, we actually tried that here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We had an NTCA training event at Genesee Tile in Grand Rapids, and Mark Heinlein was there. He is the one that hosted the event, and gave the sheet or passed the sheet around and said, guys, anybody that would like to be a CTI, please sign up. So there was a group that was, I don't know, about 6 of us, I think, when we were done with it was a large panel training. We signed up, and the GM from Genesee Tile said, I would love to host it, this and that. And we just need to get some things taken care of. Well, 4 months, 5 months went by, and nothing ever got taken care of. So I to answer your question, sorry, I kind of got off track. I don't think that it's, in my opinion, it really doesn't matter who is handling it. We just need to have CTEF, do everything they can to get everything taken care of at the distributors or the places of interest. To have those tests.
Yeah, very good point. We have the illustrious Paige Pomerine joining us now. Hello, Paige.
Hello.
So
sorry I'm late to the party. Hope everyone's doing well.
We are indeed. We are indeed. So I'm just going to give you a quick recap page of what we've covered so far, and I'd love to hear your insight on it. I think we're going to wrap up pretty soon. We've been going for 2 hours. one of the first things that we did was figure out a new tagline that would sort of encompass the mission of CTEF, not just from a contractor perspective, but also industry partners like Schluter. And we had the best response to transform the trade. Then we talked about some things. Now, Paige, I do have a question for you as a Schluter employee. Who's the person to talk to about, or maybe you can talk to me about this privately later, about who to talk to about getting CTI stuff on Schluter's feeds. Maybe you could talk to me on that.
I know we definitely have workshops where we do sponsor it, and then, you know, we list those alongside of the workshop. But
Okay.
as far as that, that's where we would host, partner with the CTEF there.
Okay, cool. So, and then we talked about a variety of other things, as far as like things that we need to see on the website for the CTI, or for the CTEF website. We wanted first and foremost to be able to find installers, to sign up for tests, establishing our bona fides as an independent organization, and then reasons to hire a CTI on the main page. And then honestly, the conversation we've been having for the last almost hour now is about local outreach that we as CTIs can do to local companies, local distributors, what we can do as individual CTIs to start putting pressure from the ground up, while CTEF continues to try to add pressure from the top down. Do you have any ideas on what sort of things we could be doing individually as CTIs?
I know even before I started with Schluter, you know, I would try and get distributors to know what this, you know, CTEF was, and try and get them to host a test, because I wanted to take it somewhere local.
Yeah.
So it's nice to just, you know, talk to the manager, whoever at distributors, and just tell them about what this is about, and hopefully, you know, they can send these people coming into their stores to get big remodels done, with good tile setters. I'm sure someone already recommended that. Thank you for filling me in.
Yeah, no problem. So, yeah, so I think we've gotten a ton of really good feedback in this meeting. And this is actually something I would like to do more regularly, have a sort of conference call with other CTIs. You know, maybe eventually there would be a conversation about the test. Maybe eventually there'd be a conversation about, you know, our social media specifically, the website specifically, et cetera, et cetera. But if you guys are open to it, I'll definitely put these out more often with the approval of the board and everything, and, you know, the powers that be when it comes to CTEF. But it's definitely, I think we've all gathered a lot of really good feedback here. Aaron Albrecht recommends weekly. Would everybody be up? I mean, obviously you guys don't have to come weekly, but if there was a weekly call, would you guys tune in?
Yeah.
For sure. All right. Then I'm gonna start trying to spearhead that then. But if anybody had anything else that they wanted to add about the messaging of CTEF specifically, now is your chance.
We just need to get more education, more CTEF needs to be out there more than it is right now, because there are a ton of installers that are excellent installers, and just as many as there are bad installers, you know, in our trades, like we all know. And unless you are, in my opinion, unless you are in the trade and you're trying to educate yourself as much as possible, you don't know about CTEF.
Excellent point. Excellent point. So again, outreach from the local level. Nick, what do you have to say?
Kind of go along that same thing. I mean, you gotta breach their bubble. Most of the people I feel in the trade, they focus on what they do, and they're not really focused on. They're not actively pursuing something higher because they don't know it's there. I mean, you don't know what you don't know, sort of thing, right? But like, you have to pierce that veil of them not looking for it. You gotta get it in front of their face.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. So now that we have a really good seed that we're going to be able to focus the message around, I think that's all going to be a lot easier. we'll be able to get it out there. We'll be able to easily explain it, and that will start raising more interest and raising more awareness. Erin Albrecht asked me specifically to tell everybody thank you. She's available to help anybody. So reach out to her on Facebook. She is a tremendous resource. And she says specifically, think globally, act locally. And I think that's a great kind of mindset for us to have as CTIs, even from everything down from a single member company like myself that focuses on residential all the way up to big commercial. We can all think like that, right? Think globally, act locally. So thank you guys, everyone, for coming. Like I said, I'll try and start spearheading this to do something like this weekly. If Saturdays are a pretty good, Saturday evenings is a relatively good time. We'll see once COVID gets up if everybody's just going to be out partying. Maybe we'll figure out a better time. I miss restaurants so much.
But Joseph, you have a captive audience right now. So.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see. It might end up just being like 3 or 4 of us, but that's okay. So
Could
Scott,
be a CTEF happy hour / meeting.
Ooh, I like that page. Get a little
Sometime
bit
when we
lit.
can get together, that'd be great.
Yeah, good idea.
Josh, if I may, I want to go back to you. You said
Absolutely.
about getting these guys educated. Help me,
Yes, sir.
and it doesn't have to be here, but help me understand how I can do that. I've made offerings. I have taken the program on the road. We all know that the guy that we compete against is the lowball guy that, and this is the phrase I've grasped years ago, is those guys or the people coming into the test for whatever reason don't know what they don't know. And
exactly right.
They don't need it because they don't know they don't have it.
Right. That is just simple ignorance. And ignorance is it's at that point. Yes, sir. You are exactly correct.
Yeah.
So help me, if you have some ideas, shoot them my way. My phone
I
is always open. My cell phone is always open. Call me. I'll be glad to put some of those things together. If we can reach those guys, I mean, I have a board member that came up with the idea of Field of Dreams. You build it and they will come. And that is not necessarily true because, again, and I don't like to be labored, but it's become almost a hashtag. They just don't know what they don't know because they do it every day and it's getting done. I mean, the NTCA this year, we brought a brand new program on layout because I feel the number one drawback for the guys doing the hands-on test is they can't lay out. So they waste an inordinate amount of time on, oh goodness, how do I do it? Okay, I'm going to draw. I'll do it on the floor. I'll mimic that and I'll put it. Oh, and then I switch the tile and it gets to be a mess. Mm-hmm. If they knew how to basic layout, and now what we've done is we've created, and I would encourage you, we're going to be in, where am I? Pittsburgh and Conshohocken. Will be in, I've lost track of where I'm going to be. But it's all in May. And if you want an invite, send me a message. I'll get you on the list and you can attend that workshop. We have shot videos to take the place of the hands-on because we can't be there. And we're not sure when we are going to get there. But sure. I think just from 12 years worth of experience, many installers can't lay out. So they struggle and they say, you didn't give me enough time to do it. We took 2.5 hours to get the wall laid out.
Yep. I think you're exactly right. We do mostly commercial and high-end residential, Scott, and that is the number one issue that I see with excellent installers is they don't know their layouts. They can't look at a room and look at their tile and compute it in their head the way it needs to be. And that's something that we do on every single job. We have to be able to do that. And to get that education into people's brains is it's imperative. We have to.
And Aaron wants me to bring out engagement is key. If we engage them, they will be active and they'll listen. We just need to know what motivates them, men and women, because obviously we've got tile guys, tile women, tile contractors of all breadths, right? So we need to engage this is the seed of it. We're not solving everything in this meeting, but this is the seed of it. And I'm very optimistic that in the next several months, you're going to see a big push and a big explosion, and hopefully a lot of energy from you guys as well. Lee, what you got?
There may be already, I don't know, but other than going to the NTCA website for events that are going on locally or in my area or maybe somewhere within, I don't know, like an hour or two, is there any kind of like text messaging service that you can type into to where if there's an event, like it, it gets broadcast or something, kind of like a schedule or something? Because I'm not the best about getting online to check for like scheduling, and usually when there's an event, I've already missed it or it's already going on.
I would say follow the social media pages. Follow the NTCA one. I think Mark Heinlein tends to post his schedules for the events and the like that. Also reach out to who your NTCA regional ambassador is and get them and tell them that you want to be kept in the loop on those, and you'll be good on that.
Ambassador for the NTCA?
Yeah, and TCA has local ambassadors, so
Yeah.
you should be able to call the number. You should be able to call the main office. They'll tell you who they are. They'll get you in touch with them, or you can even go on the NTCA members page and go from there. Scott?
It's on the NTCA website. It's a PDF. You can print it. It gives you cell phone and email address. You can get on there with the ambassadors, but anybody's welcome. You can go on there right now. If you want to go to Canoga Park, California, you can attest that one there because they're all virtual. So
yeah, that's true.
They're all over the country. I'm doing 4 in 2 days, but that doesn't mean. And I sent out emails to 260 people to get a response, and we found that the list needs a little bit of tweaking because I had, out of 260 plus, I had 26 bounce. So it's not perfect, but that's to get the local people there. But you can attend you can go on the website and register. You can go to any of them. So if you see one that has 2 people, sign up. It'll boost the numbers of that particular program. And we have some special things planned for that. We're going to have some fun with that.
I want to put out a call. Aaron brought an excellent point. I don't want to put this call out. If anybody knows somebody who does website design and that would like to volunteer, great resume building, is working for nonprofits, CTEF would be happy to hear from them. So please reach out. They can reach out to me, to Aaron, to Scott, or to Kathy. Whatever is easiest for you guys to reach out to. If you know somebody who does website design, please have them reach out to us. I think we've been going for almost 2.5 hours. I'm kind of tired and my wife is waiting for me. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, guys. But we will be doing this more often, I promise. I will put out posts about this on the CTI installer page and on the NTCA members page as well. And if you guys have any ideas specifically for topics that we can do with this for CTEF and CTIs, please go ahead and message them to me. It's Joseph Matisse. And if you need anything, you can reach out to anybody that's associated with CTEF. Scott?
One last thing. Thank you, Joseph. This whole thing started because Joseph was, how many were in that roundtable that you participated in?
The roundtable in Greenville?
No,
yesterday?
No. The recent one.
Yeah, it was 4 of us.
4. So that's where this whole thing came from, was the snowball effect of what Joseph wants to make happen. And so thank you very much for doing it. And he's one of our newest board members as well.
Well, thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. Matt, did you have something you wanted to mention before we signed off? Okay.
Scott covered.
Huh?
Scott covered it.
Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.